Hello, boys and girls. I am John Elrick, and this is part 2 in the instruction stuff for you to learn how to play this here instrument, the 6-string monster, okay? Tonight, I'm going to bend you over. Yes, that's right, bending. We're going to do bending. We're just going to bend one string, but that'll be enough for now. So, are you ready? Okay, good. So, the first thing that students need to know is how do you position your hand on the neck. And this is important because you have to have your hand well rooted, okay, when you're about to do these crazy bends. So the important thing is, where is your thumb? Okay? Well, there's something I like to call the claw. The claw. You make the claw, and your thumb is either going to be on the back, or I like to position a lot over the top, like this, okay? So when your other fingers are down doing their bending thing, sometimes your thumb will really need to anchor over and kind of do its thing. Or if you're going to play real fast or whatever, you might need to have your thumb hooked in the back a little bit. But anyways, the important thing is the claw. That gets the idea that your thumb is like a talon or whatever, really clawing into it or over the side. So you're totally getting a claw. Okay. Now, there is the next thing I want to talk to you about is bending with the different fingers. If you really want a good solid bend, I like to a lot of times position my fingers so that I'm using the ring or the pinky, because you get these other two fingers involved, and there's something I call the rule of pinky, okay? So the finger that's closest to the pinky, even if it's the pinky itself, is the one that's going to sound, okay? So let's say you're using all 4 fingers, right? Okay? So this pinky is on the 8th fret of the B here. Okay, so the pinky is the one that sounds. The other 3 fingers are just support. So you have 4 fingers pushing up that string. It's a beautiful deal. You got 3 buddies helping you, and one guy sounds, but the other 3 buddies are helping. Now, if you pull the pinky off, now the ring sounds. So these 2 fingers are still helping, but the ring is sounding on the 7th fret. Okay, you pull the ring off. Now your middle is sounding on the 6th fret, and your index is helping. Okay? Okay, good. So that's the rule of pinky. Now you might notice too that I guess you can call it the last part of the digit, where the last knuckle meets the end of the finger. Okay, this last part, I like to keep these parts of the fingers like 90 degrees, or as close to 90 degrees against the fretboard, perpendicular to the fretboard, because it helps. So the 90-degree perpendicular fingers to the fretboard, it gives a sweet spot. You want the sweet spot of your finger, which is kind of like just a little bit back of your fingernail here. You kind of want that touching the string, and then you want your part of the digit here to be like, again, 90 degrees. It's just a thing you have to feel. I'm giving you kind of like some real particular information, but you need to feel around with it. Kind of like your fingers are on a piano, you know, if you have that German piano teacher slapping you with the ruler and you want the fingers real straight against the... It helps you. So, next thing, this is a common question asked, is, well, which way do you bend the string? Well, the rule of, well, my rule is Your thick E, your A, and your D, you're going to bend them down because it's away from the edge, right? So these strings, right? Okay, and your thin E, your B, and your G, you're going to bend up, right? Okay, so that's that. Now, the real killer in bending is to bend right, okay, you have to have a sound in your head of where you want the original pitch to go. In other words, like let's take the 7th fret of the B string, right? Okay. Well, where do you want that to go? Where do you want that to go? Do you want it to sound like the 8th fret? 7th fret to 8th fret? Okay. That would be a half bend. Do you want it to sound like the 9th fret? Want it to sound like the 10th fret? It's kind of an Eddie Van Halen type of bend, the really extended. Do you want it to sound like the 11th fret? So, and if it were to go to the 9th fret, that's a full bend, or you would see a 1 on your tablature sheet. The 10th fret from the 7th to the 10th, that would be like a 1.5 bend with like the arrow pointing up. To get to the 11th fret from the 7th fret, that's a 2, a big 2, so you're doing 2 full bends. So a fret is like a half a bend, okay? So you just need to figure out, and there's one little, you can do a quarter bend. It's kind of like your little blues bend. So, anyways, just pick your destination, and that's where you're going to go. Now, there's a couple like other things you can do with bending. There's a pre-bend, which you bend beforehand without any sound, so you get your finger in position, and then you pick while your fingers are in the tension up in the air, so to speak. And then you pick it, kind of cat scratch fever there, right? So you can see I'm tense, you don't hear any sound, my fingers are here. So that's the pre-bend. And now there's something I call the double plateau bend, a la David Gilmour from, let's see, what is it, Another Brick in the Wall or whatever. So, and what that is you bend, hold it, and then bend again. And then, I guess kind of my own thing, but I've seen other people do it, I call it like the stutter bending, and that's where you're just continuously picking while you're doing a big bend. And that's. And, or you could get kind of real stuttery. The final technique. Are you ready? Okay, so Jeff Beck and Steve Vai, and I guess you could say Eric Johnson too, do this thing where they do like a full bend, so that's like 2 frets up, and they come down real quick, and it kind of sounds like I don't know, like a creature or something, or like you're talking. So what that is, like I'm on the 14th fret, you're going to make it sound like the 16th fret, and bring it back to the 14th fret. So it's up to the 16th fret, back to the 14th fret real quick. That's bending. I've bent you over. Now take it and do it, and I'll see you next time for, I don't know, some Eddie Van Halen technique, probably.